It's still so raw. I feel it. I feel it every time, everywhere I go. I feel inferior. Even when no one walks up to me and say, "Hey, you are," I feel it. I feel it at the airport. When I show my passport.
Do you realize that your most priceless possession is something that you can't see, weigh, or measure? It is possible today to determine the exact chemical composition of a human body. By precise measurements, we can know how much iron, calcium, phosphorus. We can determine exactly how much of each of the elements is present in a body. If we were to make these tests one moment before death, and then again one moment after death, it would be obvious that something was missing. But it would be something that you couldn't see, weigh, measure, or put in a test tube. That something is life.
When they taught us, he said, of course, they taught us everything we know, even the language I speak. I speak English better than I speak my mother's tongue. Of course, I'm so fucked. This is, of course, yeah. So he said, when they left us, they knew we would make mistakes. And when we started making mistakes, they didn't bother to correct our mistakes till date. So because, of course, we were created to make mistakes. So what they did was they met together in Berlin, 1884 to 1885. That was, I think, about 6 months. Yeah. So they met, and then, without caring who we were, without caring if we would be able to survive, without caring about the kind of food, our culture, our language, and everything, they just merged us together because the only thing they cared about was our resources. I mean, the things they wanted to get from us. So it was like they picked up a pen and a ruler and said, "Look, you have to live together." They didn't care if we have anything in common. It wasn't, so you have to live together. So like they forced us to live together as a people. So until this time in Nigeria, we still struggle to live as a people. Yes! This is mine. This is mine. And mine is fine. This is mine.
How old are you?
I'm 10 years.
10 years old.
Yes.
Do you know why Biafra is fighting?
The Biafra is fighting for survival, sir.
Is it going to win?
Yes, sir.
Nigeria was a creation of British colonialism. At the turn of the century, Britain carved out the richest area in West Africa, lumped together 250 tribes, each with its own culture, its own history, and arbitrarily called these people Nigerians.
General Yakubu Gowon says there is a good reason why Nigeria does not go all out in the civil war.
We're fighting our own brothers, our own friends, our own probably colleagues that in fact we were trained together. Now, I accept them as my people. I don't call them enemies. They're not my enemies.
That's how crazy it is. We don't even know who we are. The African child doesn't know who he is or who she is. The more you know, the more you understand the Western psyche. A lot of young people do not know this. I'm just maybe fortunate to know. I didn't know all this in school, honestly. I learned most things I learned on the streets. I learned from discussing with people. I learned from, yeah, this is how I learned. I didn't even graduate from the university. I dropped out.
In the book of IQ and the Wealth of Nations, it talks about the IQ of the average sub-Saharan African being at 80. The IQ of an African American is normally at 85. White populations in Australia, Canada, New Zealand, Europe, South Africa, and the United States score really close to one another, being at around 100. The reason to why IQ is such an important factor is because a lower IQ causes many detrimental factors in society. These include poverty, dropping out of school, unemployment, divorce and lower rates of marriage, welfare dependency, a child's poor motor skills and development, and criminal behavior. So then, setting out these societal differences, which is backed by data, surely should be common sense, right? Think again, we are still expected to act as if these IQ differences do not exist at all, thus assuming that these societal problems occurring are not a genetic factor.
African control. You're the key, my nigga. My nigga. It's African way of living. It's African way of living.
Where so many of our young men have died. We have become, most of us, refugees. We have lost our property. We have nothing of our own. That suffering we have known for the past.
Actually, actually, I feel so sad. Honestly, I feel really sad because I feel that, this was not fair on us. And I also know, I got to realize that my future was decided about, so many years ago.
In the territory the Biafrans evacuated as they fled before the federal troops, the abandoned buildings echo only to the wind. And the cities in the Igbo heartland, once the most densely populated area in all of Africa, have been emptied of their people. emptied by the Igbo's fear of the federal Nigeria. No matter the federal government's assurances that they will be safe, the Igbos flee. They have gone into the bush, leaving their homes shattered by shell fire. Their schools barren of students. Their government headquarters in the once flourishing administrative capital of Enugu ghostly quiet. Nothing is left here now but a few scattered refugee camps.
Nigeria was a creation of British colonialism. At the turn of the century, Britain carved out the richest area in West Africa.
Because I wonder why a lot of young people run to Europe.
Wir brauchen Arbeit und Geld für uns selber. Wir brauchen nicht mehr 300 Euro jeden Monat. Und wir
Instead of facing the situation in their country and then trying to change things around, you know?
brauchen Papier. Wir wollen in Deutschland bleiben. Arbeit wie alle Menschen. Verstehst du?
I am afraid because if this keeps happening, it means we'll keep having brain drains. It means our human resources, our intellectual resources, everything will keep coming to Europe. Then it means that the story will never change.
For their chief preoccupation is commerce, and war or not, business booms. The Lagos docks are choked with ships from around the world. Nigeria's palm oil and peanuts, its animal hides and cocoa, and its tin.
It means that the story will never change.
But the real prize in Nigeria, the overriding reason the major powers focus on this country's conflict, is Nigerian oil. British produce most of it. A United States company, Gulf, the rest. It is Nigerian oil. It is oil that Nigeria...
The story will never change.
This isn't me. This is just the house I live in. Cut off my hand, that isn't me. Cut off my arm, that isn't me. Nevertheless, this is just the house I live in. Whatever it is that is really you or me is something that no man has ever seen.
People begin to see that, yes, this is very difficult. Then a lot of things will change. You know, the idea of racism will change. You know, the idea of being superior will change because there's nothing like superiority. You cry, I cry. You eat, I eat. You starve, I starve. You die, I die. Whatever happens to you happens to you. So what's the difference? It's about creating a new way of thinking. What if? What if? What if? Because, like I said, I realized that a lot of people do not know like these things about, or you, for instance, you're an American, you don't know what it is to be an African. If I explain to you, maybe you'd understand, but you don't know. What if? What if? Can I read from this?
Yeah.
Okay. What if Europeans and Americans would be denied visas to Africa? What if Nigerians became first world citizens? What if I were to be this? Power, electricity. And we still do not know why we are who we are and why we are struggling. Food